conversation going. Um, so as I was saying before, I did not realize steel pan was in South Africa until I came upon South African or steel pan in South Africa, and I was shocked. I was amazed. When did pan get introduced into South Africa?
I think it's been around since about the late 1960s, early
Oh wow.
1970s.
Okay. So
That
how did
that was
you
when
get? Yeah, the Yeah, go
first
ahead.
instruments arrived. Yeah. So I think it only started to spread really in the 1990s. So in the late just before 2000, the instrument spread throughout the country.
Oh wow. That is crazy. So how did you get involved in steel pan?
So I was introduced to it while I was at high school.
Okay.
The person who was actually manufacturing the instruments, Steve Laurie, he was invited to initiate or start a band at our school. I was only in grade 8 then,
Okay.
and this was initiated with my old music teacher. And this was round about 1996. He was manufacturing instruments
Mm-hmm.
here in the city where I stay. And they started the Graham College Steel Band that same year in 1996. At first, I didn't really have much interest in joining the band,
Right.
but later in the year, after seeing a few performances and seeing what it was all about, I immediately got hooked, and that's yeah. From there, I just started to enjoy everything.
Wow. So what was the first pan that you started on?
So I started on tenor, on lead, um,
Okay.
and I stayed on tenor and lead for most of my high school careers or years. Yeah,
Oh wow. So you've been in it for a bit.
about 27 years. That's not too long.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's good. So do you play anything else besides the tenor?
Yeah. So after I finished my schooling at the school where I'm actually teaching now, with the Graham College Steel Band, I then went on to study at university at college, under the person who brought the first instruments to South Africa. That's Professor Andrew Tracy.
Mm-hmm.
And he approached me before I started studying to join his band because he was short of a bass player. And so during my varsity years, I played bass in his band. And I also played double tenor near the end of that era, which was about 4 or 5 years.
Oh wow. That is great. So how many steel bands are there in South Africa?
The instrument is very well spread throughout the country. The problem is that it's not manufactured. We only have one manufacturer right now, and Steve Laurie, who used to manufacture the instruments about 20 years ago, obviously now lives in America.
Yeah.
Um, it's most of the major centers have steel bands in their schools, but not many
Okay.
schools. Like I'd say Cape Town in the west and you had Johannesburg up north. They've got maybe 2 or 3 steel bands within each of those cities, and then Durban as well on the east side.
Oh
But
wow.
there's a big number of steel bands in the area where I stay, the southeastern part of South Africa, which is
Yeah.
called the Eastern Cape Province, and especially where Sia stays, which is about 130 kilometers to the west of where I am, or about
Mm-hmm.
80 miles. There are at least 10 to 20 steel bands in that city alone.
Wow. So I'm just mind blown that there's so many steel bands in South. I don't know if everyone else knew that there was that many bands in Africa in general. That's crazy.
Yeah,
So
it's very well spread. I mean, and the
yeah,
person who was responsible for spreading it is obviously Steve Laurie because he was the one manufacturing the instruments in the 90s.
right. Wow. So what are you what are your plans on seeing steel pan grow in South Africa? Like, do you have any plans or do you have any ideas on just to make it bigger,
I'd
make it
love
more
to see
pronounced?
it. Look, it's at the moment it's mostly established in schools in the schooling system as an extracurricular activity. But
Okay.
my involvement with the instrument has been educating kids and using it as an assessment instrument, getting them through school with subject music, which they do up to grade 12. And so it would be really nice to see more bands being established in the country. The difficulty is that we don't have a established manufacturer. There's one in Port Elizabeth, but he doesn't make as many instruments as he used to, and so there's a big need for someone to maintain the instruments and to also make more instruments.
Have you, I don't know how difficult it would be to get pans from Trinidad or even Japan to you guys?
Yeah, the difficulty would be our economy, unfortunately.
Right.
The South African economy makes it very difficult to purchase things from overseas. The expense, it would be too much for most of the schools to even afford. And then a lot of the groups would also be competing against local instruments that are being manufactured, especially marimbas is very popular amongst the schools in the country.
Okay. Wow. For those that are watching, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to put it in the question bubble down below. Reading your bio that you sent me, which you have done so much. You were the first person that had steel pan as your major. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
That is what made you decide to make steel pan your major.
So yeah, I don't know. When I finished school, I just wanted to be involved with steel pan, and I just wanted to be involved in some musical activity, and I always had support from my family. So when I registered to study music at varsity, I mean, I didn't even know what direction I was going to go. And in fact, the head of the music department at the varsity advised me on doing an education course and collaborate that with my Bachelor of Music that I was doing. And obviously my choice, my instrument was steel pan. I did in my junior years, I learned to play violin, but I actually gave that up to just focus on steel pan.
Love that.
So, yeah, and having been approached by Professor Andrew Tracy to be part of his band, it was a no-brainer, basically, that I would just continue with the instrument. And he was then my lecturer for the years I did my Bachelor of Music and my Masters of Music.
That's crazy. So since you graduated, have you seen more people taking or making pan as their major when they graduate?
Yes. I mean, the varsity that I attended is here in the city that I live. This year, they registered 2 students that I had taught last year. So it's a growing number of students that are being registered to do steel pan at varsity, and the program that's here is part of in Nelson Mandela University is just developing and growing and getting bigger, with more students wanting to go and study there, because they've got an active a set of instruments that are being used.
That is awesome. That is amazing. Someone has a question here. Do you have panorama competitions in South Africa?
We don't really have panorama competitions, as you would think of it as Notting Hill or at the Panorama in Trinidad. Most of the schools that are involved with competitions, they participate in what is called the Marimba and Steel Pan Festival, which is hosted in Johannesburg. And then there are a variety of Eisteddfods and festivals that the schools participate in.
So it's almost like a showcase kind of thing.
Yeah, there's no real steel pan specific competition or festival. That I mean, there's festivals that we travel to, like there's the Cape Town Steel Pan Festival that happens in the middle of the year, but it's not a competition. It's more of a festival, a showcase.
That is amazing. Have you guys had any bands from outside of Africa come down and kind of show what they can do?
Yes.
Yeah.
While I was at school, I remember there being, I think Skiffle came down when the West Indies were playing cricket down here.
Okay.
And they were quite close to where I live. I mean, the cricket stadium in Port Elizabeth, where Sia is based. They hosted the skiffle band there,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I'm not sure. I might be wrong, but Phase Two might have come down at one point. I'm not sure of that one.
Okay.
And we've had my band has had interaction with the Colchester Steel Band, which are based in the southern part of England, and they've
Yeah,
also come down to the Cape Town Steel Band Festival.
that is crazy. I need to research when that festival is because I feel like we all need to make a trip.
You should come down. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we've Sia and Sia will probably say more about this. We've started our own steel band festival in our area. I mean, Cape
Oh,
Town is
nice.
about 900 kilometers. I don't know what's that, like 600 miles west of where we are. So
Mm-hmm.
we travel there. But now because there are so many bands in our area, we have decided to initiate our own steel band festival, which we launched in August this year, and
Wow. How
it
did that
was a
go?
massive success.
That is amazing. Yeah, South Africa trip 2024. People are making plans.
Sure, sure.
That
See,
is
I'll give you the
amazing.
dates. I think he's busy
Yeah.
working on dates already.
Okay. Okay. So once I get the dates, I will definitely share it with all of you for sure. Um,
Please.
when Pan became in South Africa, have you seen kids become more involved in Pan right now? I know you said they're more going into college, but I was just wondering, just in general.
A lot of the projects that are in Cape Town and in the Durban areas, I know. And I know also Sia is working. I talk a lot about Sia because I'm very proud of what he's achieved. He's just finished his fourth year. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there are community projects